2 divided by 10. It all means the same. Now what we are going to achieve here is this. It's unlike the case of addition, where if you're taking your decimal points to this direction, then this goes in this direction, but that is not the case with decimal. The case with decimal is that the two of them goes in the same direction. So if I'm taking this one to this direction, this also goes in this direction, so both signs goes in the same direction. Supposing I'm taking the decimal to this direction, then this will also be heading towards this direction. That is exactly what we are going to achieve in this case. Now let's see, this question in particular will become 0.62 all over 10. Now look at the manipulation I'm going to make here. My decimal point is just after the 10, because I told you anytime you have a whole number, the decimal point comes after the whole number. And of course, because there's no number after a decimal point, usually we don't recognize decimal point to be anything, because it doesn't have a fractional part. The point here is this: I want to achieve something. Anything divided by 1 is that same thing, which means I should think of how to shift my decimal point to this point just one place backward, so that it becomes 1.0, and 1.0 is the same as 1. So because I'm shifting one place backward, then this one will also shift one place backward. So here I'm going to have 0.062 over 1.0. Alright, and that becomes 0.062 over 1, which is the same as 0.062. The answer here will give you 0.062 as our final answer. So when you shift to the left, you also shift the denominator to the left. That is the point, that's the thing you achieve. It depends on where you are shifting your decimal point to. We'll take another example here that says here we are going to represent it in the form of a fraction, which is 106.8 divided by 10 raised to the power of 3. This will give us 106.8 divided by 10 raised to the power of 3 is 10 times 10 times 10. I just want you to understand it very well. So this becomes 0.6 divided by 1000. You have 3 zeros. So this is exactly what we are having. Now if I'm going to solve this, which means I'm shifting my decimal place 3 places backward, I have 106.8 divided by 1000. Alright, that means my decimal point is here. I'm shifting 1, 2, 3 to come before 1. So I'll shift this also 1, 2, 3. So this decimal point comes here. Of course, is a fractional part which can be represented as 0 units. So it becomes 0.1068 all over 1.0, which is the same as 1.00, whichever one. All these zeros after decimal points are not significant, so it becomes 0.1068 divided by 1, and that will give you the same value. So this, my answer, becomes 0.1068. This is what you are getting for this answer. Now we can quickly take a look at this other one. Wow, this is not expressed in the power of 10. This does not have anything that can be expressed in the power of 10. So what do we do in this case? Look at what we're going to do. In case of having a value not expressed in the power of 10, you just express it in the division way, which is 180 divided by 0.6. So what I'm going to achieve, if I shift this one backward, I'm not getting 1 eventually, so it's meaningless. So what I need to do is to shift this decimal point forward so that it comes after the 6, so I can have a whole number, because actually dividing decimal is really very difficult. All you need to do is to convert it to whole numbers first. So if I shift this one forward, it becomes ordinary 6, and this is the part with the decimal point, which means I'm also going to shift this one forward. So here I'm going to have 180 divide 0.6, on which this decimal point goes forward, and of course your decimal point is supposed to be here naturally. Then you shift one way forward and add a 0 to it. So here I'm going to have it as 1800 over 6. Then I can start dividing. Of course 06 is the same as 6. I cannot start dividing. 6 into 18, what will it give me? 3. So I have my final answer as 300. Of course 3 divided by 0 is still 0. So I have 300 as my final answer. So this is giving me 300 as my final answer. Alright, so another example we'll be looking at here would be 13.05 divided by 2.9. Alright, let's see what my solution would be. If I have to solve this, I'll have 13.05 divided by 2.9. Remember, there is no value here that can be expressed in a power of 10, so we will not use that method here. My point will be to shift the decimal points completely away, which means I'm shifting this one 2 places forward. So this becomes 1, 2, and I also shift 1, 2 and add a 0 here. So now I'm having 1305, okay, point whatever, all over 290 points. Now anything points before nothing, there is still nothing, so you can take away that point there, which becomes still the same whole number, which is 1305 divide 290. Now think of how to break this one down. That is the simple logic here. This has an ending of 5, which means 5 can go into it. I'll start here by breaking this one first. 5 into 13 will be 2 remaining. 3 into 30 will be 6, into 5 will be 1, and I have 5 into 29, which is 5 remaining. 4 into 40, 8. So here I'm having 261 over 58. Now let's see again. This is an odd number, so odd number can go into it easily, but let me try which of the odd numbers can go. Let's say 3. If 3 can go, what will it be? 3 into 26, that is 8 remaining. 2 into 21, 7. You have 3 into 5, 1 remaining. 2 into 28, you have can it go? Oh, that's pretty much bad. It can't. So I'm going to delete this and this and take this out, which means at the end of the day I'm still likely to have a decimal number. But let's see, we can try out a long division in the process. Let's see this. 58 going into 261. 58 into 261, how many times will it go? 4 times. Okay, 4 times 58 will be 40, write down 0, carry 4. 4 times 5 will be 20 plus 4, 24. So I have 240. If I subtract, I'll have 1 and I'll have 4 here. 58 into 41, it cannot go, so I'll add a point here and add a 0 here. 58 into 410 will give me 5. Let's see it out. 5 times 58 will give me 410. At the end of the day, I'm having 0, 0, 0. So my answer is 4.5. So this becomes 4.5. as my final answer. So this is what I'm having. Today here we shall be looking at changing a fraction to decimal. Now whenever you're given a fraction to convert to decimal, what you do is you just use your normal division table, which is this 5 is what is going into 4. 5 into 4 is 0. It can't, so you put 0. 0 times 5 to see that it really can't. Okay, we don't need to be doing all this now, do we? 0, then you have 4, there's still a number left. You put your decimal point here and add 0 to this. Now your decimal point is like a free license to keep adding 0, so it becomes 40. 5 into 40, you're going to have 8 as your answer. Now 8 times let's see, you bring this one here, 40. 8 times 5 will give us 40. Now if you subtract out, you find out that you are left with nothing, so which means it has terminated because there is no other number to divide through with. So answer is 0.8. But we will not be using this long method. We'll be using the short method, which of course you should be very sharp this time around. 4 over 5 will just become 5 into 4, 0 point. Once you put a point, then it's a free license to start adding numbers to this, to start adding zeros to this, not just numbers but zeros. So 5 into 40, you're going to have 8. Whatever it is remaining, you keep adding 0 to the remainder, but here there's nothing remaining, so 8 goes into it perfectly without a remainder, so it terminates here. This is your final answer, and this will just go out. It's not making any sense there. So that's your final answer. Now we may want to look at some other examples, like so what we are solving for is 7 over 8, which is equal to first 8 into 7 is 0. It can't, so it's 8 into 7 is 0 time. You put a decimal point. The moment you put a decimal point, you have free license to keep adding zeros to whatever you have not divided through it that is left. So it becomes 8 into 70. That will give you 8, remaining 6. So I'll put remainder 6 here. Now because of the decimal point still, you have a free license also to add 0 to this 6 and use 8 to go into it. 8 into 6 will give you 6, remaining 6 again. Okay, remaining 6, and because of the free point there, you add 0 to this, you go into it again, you have 6, and that will remain another 6. Because of the decimal points, you keep adding 0 and you go into it 6 again. So you see that the 6 is recurring. It will give you 6, 6, 6, 6. So you decide to terminate it, because if you don't, you keep having 6, 6, 6. So this is called a recurring decimal. Because you have one particular number coming over and over. This is it. It came here again. It came here again. And if you leave it, it will continue to come. So it's recurring. The 6 is recurring there. So it's a recurring decimal. And that is exactly what we are talking about there. We may take another example. And it goes 4 number let's be precise, let's not just jump into questions. Convert 4 number 1 over 3 to decimal. Alright, for number 1 over 3, it's an improper fraction. Sorry, it's a mixed fraction. For number 1 over 3, which can be converted to improper fraction, and that becomes 4 times 3, 12, 12 times 1, 13 over 3. Now if we're breaking 13 over 3 down, 3 into 13 first will be 4 times, remaining 1. Now you put a point and add a 0 to the 1, free license. 3 into 10 will be 3, remaining 1 again. Because of the points, you keep adding 0. 3 into 10 again will be 3, remaining 1. You add 0 again, 3 remaining 1. You add 0 again, 3 remaining 1. So it's also recurring. You can decide to terminate it somewhere, because these are recurring values. So you leave your answer in 4.333. If you take it to 3 decimal place, that's if I decide to waive all this out. So this is what you're going to get in your answers. Anytime you are converting fraction to decimal, take note of what to do. Just keep breaking it down and getting your values. Sometimes you may find it very difficult, but just follow the step. Once again, what is the step? Let's see, maybe we can apply it again to this very one. Example 4. Here it says convert 9 over 15 into decimal. Now what we are going to have is a solution here. 9 over 15. This fraction is not in the list term. It can be broken down so that we will not have problems with big values. 3 can go into this, you have 3. 3 can go into this, you have 5. So this is the same as 3 over 5. Then now we are thinking of breaking 3 over 5 down. First, 5 into 3 will give you 0. Take a point and add 0 to this 3, becomes 30. 5 into 30, 6. Is there any remainder? No. So it terminates here. So this is called a terminating fraction. Decimal, sorry. It's called a terminating decimal. Why? Because it stopped right at this point. It cannot go further. So it terminates at 6. So this is exactly what you need to know about changing of fraction to decimal. And the next thing we'll be looking at is when we are changing decimal to fraction. Changing decimal to fraction. Alright, the first thing you take note of when you are changing your decimal to fraction is that your questions are usually given in the form of decimal. Example 1, you have convert 0.32 to fraction. Alright, here you are given a decimal and you are asked to change it to fraction. The solution here will be 0.32. Now 0.32 is a single number on its own, and remember, if you divide anything over 1, you have just made it a fraction, and anything divided by 1 is that same thing. So the first stage when you are going to manipulate a decimal to a fraction is to divide it by 1. Now you begin to shift your decimal points. If I shift, this is the same as 0.32 divided by 1 point, okay, because it doesn't make any sense putting the points here. You can still leave it that way. If I shift my decimal point 1 place, 2 place forward, I'm going to shift this point 1, 2. Now the number of places I shift will determine the 0 that will be there. So this now becomes 32 over 100. Now you try to break this fraction down to the lowest term. It's even. 2 can go here, you have 1 6, and 2 can go here, you have 50. 2 can go into 1 6 again, you have 8. 2 can go here, you have 25. I think this is the best it can go. Nothing can go into 8 and 25. So I will just have my solution here to be 8 over 25. This is my fractional equivalent. So this is my final answer, what you're having there. So the first thing you do first is to divide it by 1 and you start shifting your decimal point. Let's look at some other examples. We'll be looking at some examples here, and we may want to go with this. We want to look at our solution. What we are converting is 0.44. We'll call it over 1, and this becomes 0.44 divided by 1 point. Now we're shifting our decimal point 1 2 place forward, which means 1 2 will have 2 zeros. At the end of the day, you're having 44 over 100. And if I choose to break this one down, this is an even number, both even, 2 can go. You have 22 over 50, which is 22 over 50, and 2 can also go again. You have 11 over 25. So my final answer is 11 over 25. So the value for this is equal to 11 over 25. Final answer. I may go over to another example. Let's say example 3. Supposing we're given 0.022 and we're asked to convert the number 0 to fraction. So what I'm going to have in my solution is 0.022 divide 1. I'll shift my decimal point 1 2 3. Now I have 3 zeros. You already know what to do here. So you have 22 over 1000, which is the same as 11 over 500. So that is going to give us 11 over 500. Nothing else can divide this, so this becomes our final answer. Now you go back to your exercises in your textbooks. You can solve as much as possible using the method. If you get confused, you can play this video back over and over and you get the way out. Okay.